You know, in a world that's filled with shades of gray, we're always told to look for the heroes in shining armor. But what if the most important stories, the ones that really, truly reflect our times, don't actually come from the light? What if they emerge from the shadows, led by a very different kind of protagonist? This is the parable of the anti-hero.
So, our story begins with its central character, right? This is a figure who's pretty much shattered the old mold of what a hero is supposed to be. This is the anti-hero, the one who lives in that kind of uncomfortable space between our highest ideals and, let's face it, the messy reality of our own failures.
I mean, we all know the classic hero, don't we? The one who's practically perfect, always does the right thing, no questions asked. But, let's be honest, who do we find ourselves actually rooting for these days? It's the other one. The one who's deeply flawed, super complex, and makes choices that honestly make us a little uncomfortable. And that, right there, is the central tension of this whole modern parable.
So what is the moral world that these characters actually live in? Well, it's not some simple landscape of black and white, good versus evil. No, it's more like a complex, foggy terrain of infinite shades of gray.
This right here, this is the anti-hero's playground. Seriously, they thrive in situations where a traditional hero would just freeze up, totally paralyzed by their own rigid moral codes. In this world, the rules are different, and sometimes just surviving means you have to leave righteousness at the door.
So how do they operate? It really boils down to three things. First, their motive. Yeah, forget some higher calling or sense of duty. It's almost always about self-interest. Second, their methods, whatever it takes, even if that means breaking every single rule in the book. And finally, their mindset, pure pragmatism. They've tossed idealism out the window for a cynical, but maybe a more realistic view of the world.
Okay, but to really understand the anti-hero, we have to look past their actions and peer right into their mind. What's the psychological engine that's really driving all of these questionable choices?
And here it is. This gets to the absolute core of their psychology. See, deep down, the anti-hero doesn't see themselves as the bad guy. No way. In their own story, they're the victim, someone who was pushed into a corner by a world that failed them first.
This is where their whole behavior gets reframed. This victim narrative, it isn't just a convenient excuse, it's a really powerful psychological shield. It's how they justify what they do to themselves, and it's how they avoid the painful, really difficult work of facing their own shortcomings.
So if they're driven by self-interest and a victim mentality, why on earth do we find them so compelling? Why do we root for them? Well, the answer, as it turns out, lies not so much in who they are, but in who we are.
We watch because their struggles feel familiar. They feel like our struggles. They mirror our own imperfections, our own internal battles, in a way that a perfect hero just never could. Their fight is raw, it's authentic, it's messy, just like life. And in their flaws, we find this weird kind of permission to be flawed ourselves. They show us that one person can be both the problem and the solution, all at the same time.
And that's really the crucial point here, isn't it? The anti-hero just feels more human. By stripping away the cape and that perfect moral record, they reveal a truth we all kind of know in our gut. Life is complicated, and people are never just one thing. So this brings us to the end of our parable and the moral dilemma that's sitting right at its heart. The anti-hero forces us to weigh two very different and very difficult outcomes.
So, I want you to think about it. The anti-hero, they get the job done, but at what cost? They force us to confront this really difficult question about what we truly value. Is it the purity of the method or the pragmatism of the result? That is the question at the heart of this modern parable, and it's a question that, well, we each have to answer for ourselves.